Mayor hides the crime rates. Councilwoman hesitates. Public gets irate, but forgets the vote dates. Weatherman complaining. Predicted sun, it's raining. Everyone's protesting. Boyfriend keeps suggesting you're not like all of the rest.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
This is great. A lot of people probably don't know who you are. You're not necessarily a household name, but you are the number one man on the men's golf team, right?
Yes, sir.
And a little bit of a hiccup this spring, right, with the injury?
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple months ago, I broke my one of my bones in my hand, but it's healing slowly, and we'll be back.
Tell me what that means for your ability to play. You're obviously wearing some kind of...
Yeah, so I've had this cast on for 6 weeks now. No golf, just rehab, which is obviously a setback, but honestly, it's let me work on a lot of things that I wasn't able to do before.
Like your studies?
Like my studies. That's a big one. The parents will be happy about that. But, I mean, even the golf, a lot of mental work. I've got into meditating, doing my rehab, obviously, and a lot of mobility work that there's just not enough hours in the day to do before.
And can you talk about how that happened?
Yeah, so I'm double jointed, and I can dislocate and relocate pretty much most of my joints in my body, which probably makes me good at golf. But in this case, it must have just dislocated during a swing. And when it snapped back to relocate it hit off another bone and caused a pretty bad fracture in one of the bones in the hand. I think it's called the quadriceps, something like that.
Any surgery or just a cast? Or
Yeah, no surgery, which was nice. Just letting it rest, let the body do what it needs to do.
Wow, that's interesting. So you did it playing golf?
I did it practicing, yeah.
Practicing.
Yeah, when I was home over Christmas break.
In Canada?
Yes,
Indoor.
back in Canada.
I assume you were hitting indoors? Or?
Very much indoors, yeah.
Okay. And did it have anything to do with the AstroTurf or the turf you were hitting off of?
So that's what our first thought was, is it was just a stress fracture from hitting off mats. But the more I talk with the hand specialist that I've been seeing, he thinks it was more of the dislocation / relocation that caused the injury.
And did you see somebody here locally?
I did, Mr. Hornbach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good guy.
He's great.
He's great. He's done a lot of good things for the men's golf program with broken hands.
He did some, I don't call it a surgery, but I guess I was under a general anesthetic. He put a pin in one of my fingers.
Oh, okay.
Where I snapped a tendon and I couldn't straighten it out. But, So I've known him for a long time, and I know his wife was a doctor. And I think, did he come from Philadelphia? Did he tell you about?
He didn't tell me his backstory.
So I think, not to get too far off, but I think he, if I'm thinking correctly, he might have been with the Philadelphia, whatever the basketball team is there in Philly.
The 76ers?
76ers.
Yeah.
And so obviously basketball players have some hand issues, and he was there. And then he came here. His father was a lawyer here in town, and he used to be quite the golfer, but I don't see him out as much. But really, really good expert. So you got the best that you could find here locally. Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Brem broke his hand when he was at Michigan State, and that's what he saw. Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know that. What's your prognosis for recovery then, as far as what's your timetable?
Yeah, so I have another week in this cast, and then I start the more rehab where I get to take it off and start moving it slowly and get to putting and chipping again. But it'll probably be another month until I hit a golf shot.
And that'll be what?
That's like end of March. Yeah.
So you'll still catch part of the season, you think?
Yeah. At this point, I don't really know what it means for me and possibly coming back. I can still do what's called the hardship waiver, so medical red shirt, and I can come back another semester too.
What about this season though?
This season, it's going to be tough for me to come back. It would mean I would only play probably 3 events. I'd still qualify for regionals individually, and hopefully help the team get there too, which would be nice.
And so it sounds like you've sort of made that decision already about this season.
Yeah, it's I don't really know right now, but that's definitely the direction I'm leaning towards for sure.
Right. So let's back up because you weren't always a golfer.
No.
Right. Mm-hmm. You sort of, I wouldn't say late. You started playing golf about 13, is that
Yeah,
it?
13, 14 is when I first started to really get into golf.
And before that, it was the national sport of Canada.
It was a big win the other night.
Yeah,
but,
I guess. But you were a hockey player.
I was, yeah. I played rep hockey my whole life, and it was my real passion. And I loved it. I still love it. I still love to get out and play. I don't do it as often.
You know who our first guest was?
Red Savage.
Red Savage.
I mean, best name in hockey and a good player too.
Right,
But
and the best number.
And the best number.
21, yeah.
Yeah. No, I loved hockey. And I think that's what has made me good at golf too, is just that competitive aspect that you get from hockey. And I was goalie in hockey.
So not
not super physically demanding, but
no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, but there are a lot of hockey players who are really good at golf, and generally, it's sort of the hand-eye and the swinging of the stick for some reason. And there's most of them that I've seen, their swings are very similar, very short, but generate a lot of power.
Every hockey guy that I go home with, play with in the summer, guys that I used to play hockey with that are still chasing the dream that I get to play with, they all hit it so far. They hit it farther than me, and that's what I do now.
And so you decide to transfer over. At 16, you must have been able to still play golf at a high level.
Yeah, so I won the Ontario Junior that year before. And that's when I had to take time off of summer hockey to play golf and play tournaments, which my coach didn't love, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do. And yeah, it was kind of that change and that win that helped me be like, you know what, this is an avenue that I'm not only good at, but I enjoy just as much, if not more. And I wanted to fully dedicate it.
And definitely, I sort of date myself, but definitely Casey was the one that then recruited you, right?
Yes, sir.
And tell me what that was like being recruited by Michigan State.
Yeah, it was super cool. I mean, obviously, that's being recruited by a school is a super awesome experience. And that win, and a lot of coaches really liked the fact that I was a dual sport athlete, that I played both at the time. But Casey was the first coach to reach out hours after I was able to talk to coaches. He reached out that next day or that first day, and just started building a relationship together. And he was kind of always there. Golf's a game that obviously comes with highs and lows, but he was a coach that was always, believed in me, even if I didn't play well in a tournament. He didn't get to see me play, but our former assistant coach, Dan Ellis, he came and watched me 5 or 6 times, which just showed their level of commitment to me and how much it meant to them.
I don't know what Dan would have said, but would there have been something like, well, he doesn't hit it very far?
That is pretty much what he said.
Only because Dan
hits it miles.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not very long, but he might be as long as anybody, and still is, right?
Yeah, he's good. He's a good stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that the ability to play at a high level of golf, when did you realize that, potentially you could play at a high level and maybe play at a Division I college?
Yeah. That's a great question. Honestly, it kind of just came. I never really, even when I was started to get recruited by coaches, it wasn't as much a dream then. It was more of just something that was, happening. It was coming true, even though I didn't. Not that I didn't want it. Obviously, I did. But it wasn't necessarily something I was striving towards. And then after that, after getting contacted by coaches, it was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is what I want to do. Obviously, being from Canada, we don't really have athletic scholarships in Canada. That's not a thing for our universities. So just seeing everyone come before me that was good at their sport, just going down to the U.S. to play at a more competitive level was just something so cool to me.
Did you make a visit to Michigan State?
I did, yeah. I came here end of September in my junior year of high school. and it snowed that day. It was coach was just telling me, he was like, "This never happens. It doesn't snow here." And I'm like,
snow wouldn't have bothered you though, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I went south to go to school in Michigan, so
right.
Yeah.
And tell me what kind of access you had to golf growing up in Ontario.
Yeah, so in the winters before that age of 16, I just put the clubs away for 6 to 7 months. I didn't really practice anything. Where I'm from, there was really no place to. And like I said before, I was into hockey, obviously, and in the winter season is when we really get going.
Really, what I want to know is, are you a public player like Jimmy Pyatt, or are you a country club kid that grew up playing? Sort of had.
Well, so I started at a public golf course, Amersview Golf and Country Club. It's not really a country club, but yeah, I was out there. My dad was a member for a long time. He won 5 or 6 club champs out there, and that's who really got me into the game. So I was out there for a while, and then eventually I moved to our private golf course in Kingston, where I'm from.
And I always say that, you can't really become your best unless you're a member of a country club.
It's hard. It's hard.
Right.
A lot of it's just the people that you play with too.
Right.
Obviously at country clubs, you get a lot more guys that are much more serious about the game of golf.
You have to have access. You have to be able to go out there, and you have to be able to hit balls on a regular basis almost every day and work on your game. And it's hard to do that at a public course. Most of them are hard to even get on.
Yeah, for sure.
And did you grow up did you have a group of guys that you played golf with that were able to push you competitively? Or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely didn't start out that way. I started just playing with my dad and my brother, who are really good players in themselves, but I was not even close to that level when I started. And that first summer when I was about 13 or 14, I played a lot with my hockey buddies. And we were all horrible, but we just loved getting out there. And I think that's what brought me to the game, was just the fact that you can spend time for 5 or however long hours you want just with your friends out on the golf course in the summer.
And competitive.
Yeah, exactly. Competitive. And staying competitive. But then a couple years later, I met a group of friends that I'm still close with today and still get to play a lot with in the summer. Who are all very similar to my level, and we're all about the same age, and it's a super fun group, and I credit them a lot to all the success I've had is pushing me in all those games that we play. Tell
me how big the Ontario Junior is.
It was really big. I mean, when it first happened, not in a cocky sense, but it felt like it wasn't that big. It felt like it was something really cool to do, but looking back at it, and it probably took me about a year to realize that was a really cool accomplishment to do. It was the first one I ever played in. I knew about it, obviously. It was just kind of just happened. I played really well one week, and I don't know if I definitely wasn't the best player in the field, but I played the best that week, and I got the win.
I mean, tell me about coming down the stretch. I mean, I think part of winning, especially a golf tournament, is if you think about how big it is, or how big the moment is, or how good you're playing, it's probably the kiss of death in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's hard to finish a golf tournament. I mean, you're competing out there for 4 days, and it's a long, grueling test a lot of the time, being out there for 6 hours trying to focus. But when you come down that stretch, for me, I think it's just a different gear that kicks in. It's almost that hockey gear, you get into overtime. You're in a shootout for me as a goalie, and it's just one-on-one. It's what you want. And that's why I love to play tournaments now, is for the hope to be in that final group and be in contention in the end. And yeah, I mean, when I did win the Ontario Junior, I made a 35-footer for Eagle to win by 2 on 18.
On 18.
On 18. It hit off a guy's marker and went in, actually.
That's amazing that you're, and what were you, do you remember, I assume you do, what you were feeling when you went over that putt and what you were thinking about, and can you walk me through that?
Yeah. I mean,
I assume there was a crowd there.
There was a decent sized crowd. I have videos on my phone that I still look at because for me, like looking back at it now, it's like, wow, like what a cool like way to win my first golf tournament and a big one at that for all the kids in Ontario. Yeah, I mean, I kind of remember
it's a par 5.
It's a par 5, dogleg right. I hit 3-wood off the tee because it's like a shorter hole and it runs out. Then I hit a hybrid to kind of bladed it a little bit, but it worked out to like 35 feet short of the pin.
Is the guy you're playing against in your group?
Yes, he is. He is a 5-footer for birdie coming back.
Yeah, so he didn't play it's not like he's falling apart.
No, which he ended up making too, but obviously it didn't matter once mine went in.
And were you tied coming into the last hole?
No, I was 1 shot up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but 1 shot up is not like, I got this.
No, it's definitely not like this is over.
And a par 5, anything can happen.
Exactly. I mean, I could have made par very easily, and he made a birdie, like I said.
Is there water hole? Or
there's OB all along the right. So, and then fescue left off the tee. It was a really tight tee ball. That's also why I went with 3-wood at the time. Mm-hmm. Coach would have hated that because he hates 3-wood off tees. But
and the second shot, you're always have the option of laying up.
Yeah, I don't lay up very often. Okay. I don't know if it was whatever reason in me, but it takes a lot for me to lay up. There's some great stories of me going for par 5s that I know I shouldn't.
I can't believe Coach likes that attitude, but
he hates it. He hates it. Yeah, there's some good stories of me like hooking 3-woods off ponds.
But you're 16 years old, right?
Yeah, so
you don't have a ton of competitive golf experience at 16, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and you're probably not really a named, big name in the event.
No. And especially being from, I'm about 3 hours north of Toronto. So pretty much all the kids in the GTA, like the greater Toronto area, they all stick together and they know each other really well. And I'm that kid that's no one really knows. Right. I have my group of friends that we all traveled with up there, but no one really knows us. We all just kind of stick together and do our own thing. So yeah, that was kind of cool, I guess.
You hit a hybrid, 35 feet.
35 feet. It was a little uphill, breaking to the left, hit off a guy's marker like 6 feet out, bounced a little bit and went in. It was going a little fast, but
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
The tournament's
Game over.
over.
Yeah, exactly. Go sign your scorecard.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, did you win anything else before you got to Michigan State? Or?
Yes, I won the British Columbia Amateur. I won the Glencoe Invitational. I won the Future Links BC. I won the Canadian.
Those aren't necessarily junior tournaments either, right?
No, the BC Am, the Glencoe, those are amateur events. So my last summer before I came to school, just to get ready for amateur golf, I tried to make a schedule that was pretty much only amateur events. Not that I felt like I was too good to play junior events, but it just felt like that was the step I needed to take to play against better guys, play against guys that were already in college,
right?
Play longer golf courses and just try to prove myself and learn what the next level was about. And I definitely did that summer. That's July and August. I played some.
That's
best
a hell
golf.
of a summer.
It was a great summer. It was a really good time.
And tell me what kind of commitment you had to playing that summer.
I mean, obviously I still do. Where I practice way too much and play way too much. Maybe that's why I'm hurt. I don't know, but maybe it's also why I'm the level I'm at. And that summer I'm probably played 12 events in 3 months. I was playing pretty much every weekend.
But you're not working. You're not.
No,
married.
I'm not working.
You don't have kids.
Exactly.
Right?
So why not? I mean,
but tell me about a regular day where you have a tournament coming up, whether it's a week away or that weekend. What would be your practice schedule?
Yeah. I mean, I like to structure my days now. Now I like to think I'm a much better practicer than I used to be. And I structure my days into, time frames of what I'm going to do to get better. And that's not always necessarily the same thing. I typically get to the golf course around 7:30. I love to practice a while before I play. If I play at noon, I'll practice a while, a lot of time on the range for a while. I go putt, have a little bit of snack, and then go out and just try to compete, and we'll play till it's dark.
When you're on the range, do you have I'm going to hit, 25 drivers or 15 drivers? Do you have a regimen that you follow?
Not really. So I've never really had a swing coach. I've just tried to hit the same shot over and over and over again until I feel like I've perfected it. So that's what I kind of do on the range. I do it a little bit now. Definitely changed a little bit, but that's kind of how I've done it up until this year. Is I just go to the range and I'll pull out 7-iron and just hit 7-iron for an hour and a half to one pin. Just hit the same shot, like a little 5-yard draw.
There's no swing count for you.
No.
And is there a time? Do you put yourself on a stopwatch, or do you just do? Well, I have 2 hours, so I'm going to do this.
It's pretty much just I have 2 hours. I'm going to do this. A lot of the time, like I said before, with the group of friends I have, we're all the same. We all just love to practice. And one of my close friends, he lives like right on the golf course, so he meets me there when I get there, and we just go straight to the range or to the putting green or chipping area or whatever we're doing that day, and we just practice together and just chit chat and.
You really gotta love the practice regimen.
You do. You definitely
do.
Do.
Balls for that long. You got to be in good shape too.
Yeah, I mean, look at me. I'm in great shape.
It takes a lot of mental, focus to be able to just sit there and beat balls. It takes. I mean, you actually have to practice that and do it often to be able to be effective for, to hit an hour and a half's worth of balls with one club. I mean. Don't you find that you somehow, to get something out of the last shot that you did out of the 10th shot, you constantly got to be focused on?
Yeah. And I think that, again, it just kind of goes back to who I am, and that when I do something like that, I get really focused. And I do obviously I'm not hitting balls for that 2 hours, straight without taking a break. I might take the 5-10 minutes and just chat or talk to a guy on the range or something like that. But then when I do practice, it's my headphones in, and I'm really focused, and I just get really into it. I really enjoy it, and it's just kind of the pursuit to get better that I love.
So you come to Michigan State, right? And tell me if this is right. Somebody brings you out to the Lansing Country Club?
Yes.
Was that your summer before the freshman year?
That was my first day on my first day on campus. I went to watch James win the USAM, which was a sick start. And then the day we get back, myself, my teammate Satchel Pierce, Parker Jameson, and Mr. Jameson brought me out to Country Club Lansing. Dr.
I just left him, actually.
Oh, really?
We were at basketball practice together.
Really good guy.
And you played, did you play all 18?
I did, yes.
And the rumor was that you were maybe 10 under?
Yes, I was 10 under through 17 and bogeyed 17.
And 17's a tough hole.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah. And then, so you shoot 63?
Yes.
Oh, that's not bad for your first. I mean, look, at Lansing's not a...
it's not a long hitters, or it's not a long golf course,
championship, level.
It still
golf.
takes some good shots, though, to play well.
Right.
Yeah,
that
was cool.
I'm not sure if I met you on that occasion, but I feel like
I think it was like a week later we brought the team out there,
right?
Or I think you did, and that's where I think we met for the first time, if my memory's right.
So that's a pretty good start. I honestly think Troy Taylor did about the same thing when he was a freshman. It came out.
Sounds like Troy.
Yes, Troy shot a low number in the 60, 65 or something, 64 when he was a freshman. But so, man, that doesn't seem like that long ago. But
no,
and
4 years ago.
And James Wynn doesn't seem like that long ago.
No, not at all.
So amazing about James Pyatt, right? He was your teammate.
Yes.
And you've won at a very high level, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to get to the USAM because the ball didn't hit a marker on that the playoff there, right?
No.
But what do you think the difference is between you and other players that you've seen? Because when you go to these tournaments, everybody works hard.
Everyone works hard.
Everybody wants to win. Mm-hmm. Everybody, you know, will say, I love coming down the stretch, right? Mm-hmm. But you know, in the end, usually it's the same guys, right? And, you know, you hear the sob stories about, well, I, you know, hit my driver here, or I got a bad break. But what do you think differentiates, you know, I hate to say the winners from the other guys, but, you know, the guys that are shooting that level, a James Pyatt who can pull it out over, you know, it's not just a weekend of golf, but it's a whole week of tremendous golf at a very high level. And what you did in the Canadian Amateur.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, like you said, everyone's so good now. Everyone has that will to win. You watch college guys and PGA Tour guys hit the ball. I mean, they all hit it so good. Everyone putts it well. Everyone chips it well. And, you know, it might be cliche to say, but I think it's just the mental aspect of being a winner. And when you hit a bad shot to almost take it personally. You know, when I hit one in the water on a par 5 and I have to drop and get up and down to say par, I feel like it's part of me to do that a lot. It feels like when I make a bogey, I often follow it up with a birdie. And I think that's because I almost take it personally when I do make a bad swing or have a bad hole, to come back from that and not, you know, get all boo-hoo about, oh, I shouldn't have got that break. Just come back and make birdie or get up and down. That's just so exciting.
There's a certain amount of mental, you know, drive or, you know, whatever you want to call it, focus, inspiration. But there's also the physical part because, you know, it's easy to say I'm going to birdie this next hole.
100%,
right?
yeah.
You still have to
do it.
You still have to do it, you know. And if you could just turn it on, right, you'd never make the bogey, you'd just make all birdies, you'd somehow figure it out. But tell me what you think it is that differentiates you from your competitors physically as far as your abilities on the golf course.
Yeah. I mean, physically, like, I'm not a overly large human, but I hit the ball pretty far, and I've gained a lot of distance throughout my time at Michigan State. To now where I'm not the longest, but I'm definitely up there. But in my golf swing, just being kind of home taught, there's not a lot of face rotation. So if I'm able to get that club moving fast, it can't really go that far offline. And I think that's, you know, if you look at technically things that might make me better than some guys, it's probably that. It's probably that I don't have a big miss. That it's really hard for me to hit it super offline. And now that I've gained speed, it's a lethal weapon off the tee that I use a lot, that I hit driver a lot.
Driver's critical.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, everybody says it's the putting, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you look at PGA Tour stats, there's not many guys that, you know, can gain 5 shots a tournament, 6 shots a tournament just putting. But if you look at off the tee, I mean... you can gain that so fast off the field if you just drive it well and drive it long.
Yeah, I don't know about the long part. I mean,
just keep it straight.
That's never been
keep in the short stuff.
That's never been my attribute. But you've so you play in Grand Haven. The coach has you up at American Dunes.
Correct.
That's a great field.
Amazing field. Yeah, super cool golf tournament.
You played this fall.
I did.
How'd you do?
Finished 4th, I think. 4th.
Okay.
Yep.
So, not terrible.
No.
And very competitive, right? How do you think you compared to the other amateurs playing, the other college players?
Yeah. I was second going into the final round. I don't remember. I think I shot 67 second round. I want to say I shot 70 the first round. And I was definitely playing well. And then that final round, like I said, I don't really hit that many balls offline. I hit 2 offline that day. And And it was just kind of a tough battle back. I tried to. I think I finished shooting even, but I was 4 over pretty fast.
What did the amateur? I think he's from Alabama, Clanton. Did he play in it?
He did play, yes. I think he finished like 15th or 16th, something like that.
Beat him.
I did, I think. But obviously he's killing it. So
you've had an amazing career at Michigan State, right?
Thank you.
Do I understand that you have the lowest season average?
I do.
At Michigan State?
Yep.
For all 3 years?
So I have the lowest single year scoring average, and then right now I have the low career average, but my season, I'm not done yet, so hopefully we can get it better.
Good. So you're better than Ryan Brown?
I mean, they played a lot of different golf courses with different clubs.
So it's hard to compare. But I mean, it's something to compare to.
It is, and it's really cool, and it's not an accomplishment that I'm laughing at. It's just hard to compare different generations.
A lot of good players in the sort of that era.
Mm-hmm.
The Mark Hankins era, really, where Michigan State finally came on board. Of course, 100%. There was Lynn Jansen and many others before that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of Aboods that played in the 80s.
Dogs, I heard.
Yeah, dogs. But what does that tell you about yourself?
I mean, it definitely shows that, I have what it takes to hopefully do this for a living. And it's something I really want to do, as do so many guys. But it's those little achievements that you can gain that confidence from, which is obviously a big key in golf, is confidence. And it's those accolades and stuff that you do that you can take from, but just never be satisfied and keep on going.
And was it this summer that you qualified for the U.S. Open?
Yes, I played the U.S. Open at Pinehurst this past summer.
And number 2?
Yes, that's a golf course.
Yeah, I played it a couple of years ago. I wasn't in love with it, actually. But
see, so I played it in the Southern Am 2 years ago. And again, I loved it. It's great design, but I just thought it wasn't great. Then when I played in the U.S. Open, it was the greens rolling at 14, the fescue up, the fairways firm, and it was like, damn, like this is the most true test of golf.
About the greenside bunkers, though. No sand?
Impossible. No sand.
Yeah.
You're dead. You might as well just chip out backwards.
And where do you learn how to hit those shots?
So I was with my TaylorMade reps in the practice rounds, and we were just cycling through. I think I went through like 5 wedges to try to find a wedge that just didn't have enough bounce that I can.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you gotta go low bounce out there. But then when you're chipping off the Bermuda, then you want bounce. So it's kind of you gotta find the in between.
Did you make a 2-on-2?
I did. I got a little trophy for it.
I've got one sitting around here. Is number 9 a par 3?
It is.
Yeah, I made a 2-on-9. The pin was back.
Back left?
Back left.
When it was back left, I hit in the grandstands.
Yeah, no, I hit it about 15 feet, but I shot a million there.
It's hard. It's really hard.
We played it. I'll tell you, going there, it's like going to Disney World.
As a golfer, it's
Disney
a
million people, and it's. I mean, it'd be a great course to go out and play. Like if it was your club and you can go out in the evening and shoot around. But we played. It was a long round, and we finished in the dark, which is. We had caddies, but that's a Donald Ross, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's a Donald Ross, which, if you played enough Donald Ross courses, they all have a lot of great characteristics, and of course that one did too. But tell me what it's like when you're decide, okay, I'm going to play in the USAM or US Open, right? You don't have status.
No.
Right? You got to go qualify, right? And tell me where you did that. It's a 36-hole qualifier?
Yeah, 36.
No, it's an 18-hole qualifier local, right?
Yeah, so I got exempt through the local.
Because of your Canadian amateur or something else?
Because of my Canadian amateur win. Yeah, it got me exempt through local qualifying. And then I played the Canadian Open, the PGA Tour event, the week prior. I missed the cut. and then the Monday after.
Where did you play?
I played at Hamilton Country Club, was the Canadian Open, and then Cherry Hill in Canada. I played the USAM at Cherry Hill a couple years ago, but it's in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I drove down there.
Just so it's clear, you're playing against a lot of PGA guys.
Yeah,
right?
That field was unbelievably stacked. I mean, it was pretty much all the guys that played the Canadian Open. It's a 2-hour drive, so they just drove down to play the Monday qualifier for the U.S. Open.
And generally, they do that to accommodate.
They're doing the same thing this upcoming year. Right. They've done it for a while, and it was really cool to just. I mean, I did it the week before at the Canadian Open, which for me was a big help. You know, if I was hitting balls against all those PGA Tour players and guys that have won on the PGA Tour, it would have been pretty scary. But because I just did it the whole week before, it didn't felt too out of the norm.
So you got to go out and you got to shoot 36 holes, and you can probably, if you study the history, you can probably look and say, well, 136 might make it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had a qualifier out there the year before, and I want to say it was 10 under got through in 2 rounds.
Yeah, so is it par 72?
It is out there, yep.
So 67, so 136 doesn't make it.
No. It's hard out there. I mean, the golf course isn't overly demanding, but it's just hard to, shoot those numbers.
Who'd you get paired with?
So I played with 2 guys on the Corn Ferry Tour who withdrew after the first round. They both shot like 2 over. They knew they weren't going to make it.
Did you have a spotter?
So the second round, I got paired with 3 Canadians who I all knew.
Oh,
so
that's
that was
great.
super cool.
That's great.
Yeah, they're all guys that are either on PGA Tour Americas or on the Corn Ferry Tour.
And what did you shoot the first round?
I shot 66 the first round.
So you're below the Mendoza line. You're below the cut line, but you could still shoot a good round, shoot 70 and miss the cut, right?
100%, yeah. Which is hard. You go inside, we're eating lunch, the scoreboards are everywhere. I was trying to stay away from it as much as I could, but you can't help but look over and see your name near the top at least, and try to stay away from doing the math in your head of what it's going to take. And I had a buddy on the bag that week that I knew for a while at least, and that was super nice. He's a member out there. I didn't play the golf course before because I had the Canadian Open, and I was staying with him and his family, and I think that just staying away from it, we were able to just catch up because we didn't see each other in a while. So,
but you got a lunch break.
You got a lunch break.
You got a lunch break.
Yeah,
and you're anxious to get back out.
100%. Yeah,
and the difficult thing, I assume 66 was a good round for you.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'll think is the mistake is you think, oh, I can just go out and do the exact same things, right?
You can't. It's golf.
And that's why it's so hard to follow up when you shoot a low round. I think I shot my best round last summer, one of my better rounds at the club, and I just thought the next round I'd go out and I just played absolutely horrible.
It's so hard. We had a college event last year at Sea Island, and I shot 62 in the second round, which I think was a competitive course record. Like played some of my best golf. The hole looked like a bucket, and then the next round I was in the lead by like 4. And I bogeyed like my 3rd hole, and I started to like freak out. Ended up shooting 73. I still won, thankfully, with a birdie on 18, but it was like just a complete different. It felt like I was a different guy.
Feels like you shot 1,000,000.
100%.
Right. So what do you shoot in the second round?
69. So not as good, but still, it was good
135.
enough. 135.
So you're below 136, but you're above 134. So do you know where you are coming in?
Yeah, so I was one of the last groups to come in. We finish. I knew what I was at relative to everyone else. I looked to start the back 9. Back 9 wasn't going the way I wanted. Ended up bogeying my 17th hole, and 2-putted from like 60 feet on the last hole. and it felt good. It felt like I was going to be close.
I mean, look, you're a good player. You've done a lot, but it's the U.S. Open.
100%. It's something that you can only dream of playing. I didn't
Right.
really I didn't
And
pencil
you're
it
an
into my
amateur.
schedule.
You're an amateur, right? So playing in the U.S. Open and having a chance, and I don't know what you're thinking coming down the 18, but did you think if I bogey this hole, I'm probably out? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you thought that, but that was probably a real possibility.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it was like a 240-yard par 3. I hit a pretty good shot to just be on the green. And then, it felt like par was going to be safe, but I didn't know. I 2-putted, I walked, signed my scorecard, checked the scores, and Keith Mitchell birdied 2 of his last holes, and he's on 18 right now. So I walk over to 18, and he's 1 shot behind me now for the last spot. And so I have to watch him try to get it up and down from like 80 yards out of the right rough, which he didn't do.
Otherwise, you'd be playing it
Otherwise, I'd be in a playoff with Keith Mitchell, which would be pretty cool. But
yeah,
I'll take the no playoff and
yeah,
go straight to the U.S.
That's
Open.
a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And other Michigan State guys have done that before, but I mean that'll live with you forever that you played
100%.
in the U.S. Open at Pinehurst.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you always have on your golf resume. I mean, the U.S. Open is one of the best golf tournaments.
Have you tried to Monday qualify into anything?
I've tried to Monday qualifier into the Canadian Open in the past. I got exempt this past year, but the 2 years prior, I tried to play the Monday qualifier. I missed by 1 my first time. The second time, I missed by like 4. But it's hard.
Is there anything harder than doing that? The Monday qualifier.
Monday qualifiers are so hard because it's most of the time it's not on the hardest golf course. If you look at scores, guys just take it so deep.
Right.
And it's hard to just to be able to take it that low. You kind of need it to be your day. Versus if it was a hard golf course, I feel like you can grind it out and make it work and maybe get it done. But on an easy golf course, if the putts aren't going in, if you're not hitting your driver well, it's tough to go shoot 64. So yeah.
Let's talk about a few other things, right? If you finish in the top 25 of college golfers, where are you?
That gets you exempt onto the Americas Tour.
Okay, and tell me what that is.
Yeah, so it's gotten the Latin stretch, which is taking place in a couple weeks, maybe a month, where they go down to South America and they play 8 events, and then they come up to Canada and they play 12 events in Canada, and it's the level below the Corn Ferry Tour.
And if you finish in the top 10 in college golf, where
you get on the Corn Ferry Tour.
And if you finish in the top 5?
You need to finish first to get on the PGA Tour.
Okay, so there's just one spot.
There's just one spot for that.
And where are you?
Right now I'm 28, so just outside. Just outside, unfortunately.
And do you have any exemptions at all on tour?
I mean, hopefully this upcoming summer I'll get a chance to play some. Right now I don't have any that are penciled in, but it feels like I'm definitely a candidate in a couple PGA Tour events, which would be super cool to get back out there.
And you, let's talk about the USAM. Mm-hmm. So did you have to qualify for the USAM?
I didn't. I got exempt through my world amateur ranking.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And tell me where that was played.
That was at Hazeltine up in Minnesota.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Another famous golf course, right?
I've played some great golf tournaments.
And they played everything there at Hazeltine, right?
Yeah, they had Ryder Cup, U.S. Open, bunch of stuff.
And it's a 36-hole medal play.
Correct.
And what did you shoot?
I shot 67, 74.
The one is at the Hazeltine. Where was the other round?
The other round was Chaska Town Course, I believe it's called. That's where I shot 67, and that was my first round out there. So I was well inside the cut line. But obviously Hazeltine isn't easy to go out there and just try to shoot, your even par to get in. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a solid-ish round that I ended up having to make a 40-footer for birdie on the last to get in, and I did.
To beat the cut line?
Yeah. And then I was in a playoff the next morning
to make it into
to get into match play. I was in a
64
playoff. Yeah, it was a big playoff. It was like 11 for 7 spots.
And tell me, you're standing over a 40-footer, right? Which, whatever. You play Hazeltine. You played hard courses before. 74 is not your best round. It's not your worst round. But, 67, you're well within the cut line. So this is an opportunity that you don't want to lose, right?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I started on the back nine that day. 16's this little dogleg right with water everywhere. Drove it in the water. I chipped out into the water, made triple.
So you're working the rest of the day.
100, and then after that, I was playing well. I was like even. And then after that triple, it was like that added up fast.
Who caddied for you?
That event, I had our Team Canada assistant coach on the name or on the bag. His name is Benoit Lemieux.
But tell me about the last hole.
Yeah, the last hole, I finished so early in the day. I was one of the first tee times out that we had no idea. I hit a driver down the middle of the fairway, hit a 7-iron to 40 feet on the back edge of the green. We actually thought it was like going to go in. You can't see the green. It's so elevated. We thought like, oh, damn, that's like 10 feet. And then we get up there and it's 40. And like I said, it was so early in the day that I really didn't know, is this going to be the putt to get me in or not?
Right.
I was honestly just trying to get it near the hole, tap it in for par and see where it put me. But it went in like perfect speed. I went crazy. My caddy went crazy.
So tell me what that is. Is that 141? 74, 67? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like shooting 70, 71. You barely make it.
It's not easy. I mean, Chaska downtown course was definitely easier than Hazeltine, obviously, but you still need to drive your ball. And I played really well out there.
And then you get into match play. And you did.
I'm one of the low seeds.
Right.
Or high seeds, whatever, how you look at it.
And how close did you come to the semifinals?
I lost in the round of 16.
Oh, okay. And that was, how many holes did you play off?
25 or 26 holes.
You just couldn't make a putt there, right?
No, I mean, we kept on playing the 18th hole. And it's this like 490 par 4, kind of down the hill, then way back up the hill. And the guy I was playing with hit it miles.
Yeah.
One of the longest I've ever seen.
Older guy, right?
Yeah, he mid-30s.
Yeah.
He kept on driving it down the hill, which is like 360 to get down the hill, and I can't do that. Even I would drive it to like the top of the hill. So I would have like a 7-iron in, he would have a wedge. But with the pin being so tucked left, we were both just so scared of hitting it anywhere left. We both just kept on hitting it to like 30 feet.
The right rough, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
until he cashed like a 50-footer.
He finally made a putt,
He
right?
did. Yeah. That was a good putt.
Yeah, so great amateur career.
Thank you.
Right? But that's not all you are, right?
No.
You come to Michigan State, right? Academically, you study engineering.
Correct. Applied Sciences Engineering.
So tell me what that is.
Yeah, so it's kind of general engineering. I touch on all bases of engineering. I hit a little bit of mechanical, a little bit of computer science, a little bit of civil, and then with a minor in business. So my minor is supply chain management.
So you definitely could get a job doing something.
Hopefully.
And how do you do academically here at Michigan State?
I do well. I'm sure my parents would like me to do better.
Good parents.
I do well.
Good parents.
Yeah, they are good parents.
Well, that's great. And so, you have options available to you, right?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully I don't have to use my degree. That's my goal. But it's not a bad degree to fall back on.
No, that's great. What do you think of the work-life balance, if you want to call it that Michigan State provides to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it was one of the only schools that I talked to that was going to let me take engineering. And I was pretty set on taking engineering. And the work-life balance, I mean, coach is so good about working practice around our classes compared to, like I said, other schools that were like, no, practice is at noon. Like I have some classes that start at 3 and go to 7. Last semester I had a class that started at 7 at night, went to 10. And he just kind of lets that work. and makes our practice work around our class schedule for the most part.
And what do you do when you have to travel?
I just miss class. Some professors are really awesome.
It's not that simple, though,
no,
right?
It's not. Some professors are super awesome about it. Some don't love athletics and don't seem to want to help that much. But for those classes, you kind of just got to go the extra mile and do a lot more work than you would have to do otherwise if you were in class. But like I said, some professors are so good at it that you can do it on the road. They'll let you take exams online while on the road, or I've had some proctored by coach before. So
but you're not just passing classes because you're on the golf team.
No,
right?
definitely not. That's not how it works. Sometimes it's harder to pass because you're a student athlete at Michigan State, depending on the professor.
But you started college athletics at an interesting time.
I did, right after COVID.
Right after COVID, right before NIL, really.
Yeah, my freshman year was the first year of NIL, which was kind of a weird time for everyone. And the portal, yep.
And what do you think of all that? Can you earn NIL money?
I can, yeah. So it's a little complicated for me being from Canada because I'm still on a visa. So I can't earn money while on my student visa, but I can make money through Canadian companies. So yeah, it's a little complicated in that area. I think that NIL originally came out, it was a great idea. I think that student athletes should be able to get paid, especially student athletes that make the university a lot of money. I mean, there's so many examples of great student athletes that brought in millions of dollars for the university and they got zero. However, I think it's been taken to way too far of an extreme of guys transferring just for the money.
That's the portal.
That's the portal, but it's also NIL too. I mean, guys I don't think would transfer as much if it wasn't for the money reasons.
Mm-hmm. Well, but what do you think of the portal for the from the student perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the portal needs to be a thing. Obviously, there's some schools that just aren't the right fit for guys.
It's a big decision
some
for
coaches,
18-year-old who 100% never left home or lived on their own.
Exactly. And I think that there's some cases of the portal being, a great benefit to both the school and the student, and the team that they go to and the team that they even left from. Like I said, there's just some schools and some coaches and some programs that aren't the right fit for both guys. However, like I said, it's gotten a lot different now than I think it was intended to be.
It's big.
It is.
It's big time, and people are using it to their advantage.
100%.
I mean, it just is. I'm not sure they can put that rabbit back in the hat, though.
No, not now. I don't know what. I think that they're trying to do something, but I'm not really sure.
Right. So you're a senior, right? You've been here for 4 years.
Correct.
You're academically on progress to graduate.
Yes. Yep.
And your team is pretty young.
We are really young. I'm like myself, we have another senior, we have a junior, and then we have
Tell me this
4 freshmen.
Senior is
Satchel Pierce.
Yeah, Satchel's a good kid. And
he is a good kid.
So the junior
is a transfer, Caleb Bond.
Oh yeah,
Caleb. From Ferris.
Yeah, good player.
Good player, really good player.
I'm a junior, but I shouldn't say. I didn't say Satchel. Satchel's a good player too. I'm not sure I played with him.
Yeah,
but I played with Caleb.
And Caleb's really good.
And then we have 4 freshmen.
4 freshmen, 2 sophomores.
Okay, and who are Lorenzo
and Lucas are the 2 sophomores.
Right? Yeah. And so you're the sort of the leader of the team, right? And you did that through the fall, and you kind of gotta tell me what that's like. I assume you're the captain.
I am.
And what kind of advice do you give those guys?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I see myself in a lot of the young guys, and not that I'm that much older than them.
That's a compliment to them.
Yeah. I mean, we all love to joke around. I love to joke around too, but I think a lot of it, the advice that I can give is that it's not just for fun as much anymore, that this is a job. you're kind of getting paid to do what you're doing, and to take it a little bit more seriously, maybe. Just in everything that we do. I think it's hard when you're young, to, take so much so seriously, to make that jump, but just kind of, letting them know that everything we do matters. That's one of our team slogans, is everything matters. And it's true. From how you wake up in the morning, how you approach workouts, school, cleaning your locker, all those little things matter. And I think that's how we take this program to the next level. And that's one of the main ways of try to spew my wisdom.
I think that it's easy to be a little less serious when you think you have 4 years ahead of you, and 4 years at 18 seems like a long time. And then
it goes by so fast.
It goes by so fast.
So fast.
Now you're a senior and you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
Where did that time go? And you wanna spread some of that life experience on them. Like, don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers, right?
100%. Yeah, it's definitely a different role than I have had previously on the team. I've always been the young guy on the team. Even last year as a junior, we had 4 seniors.
Right, Bradley and
Brad, Pierce, Drew, August. And they've been obviously on the team since I was a freshman, and I was still a kid in their eyes, and they were all guys that played on the team. So when we traveled to events, I was still pretty much always the youngest. Years before that, I was, again, always the youngest. Freshman, sophomore year, I was the only underclassman that played. So I was always the youngest, and then now I'm 4 years older than these kids, and I gotta take that role that other guys previously had.
How are they? Are they accepting of your advice? Do they look up to you?
Yeah, I think so. They've definitely came a long way in that no one really likes to be told what to do, and that what they're doing isn't the best. But they've been really good at it, and I think it's showing. I mean, we played last week. I wasn't there, but I talked with all the guys before they played, and I think that our talk really helped, and they played really well. They played, talking with coach about how they played. He said they all played like seniors. None of them really made any freshman mistakes.
That's a heck of a compliment coming from Casey, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
I was proud of them.
That's good. And what do you think of Casey?
He's a good guy. He's a really good guy. I mean, I think that he cares so deeply about the guys on the team more than just golf, which is different in especially this age of college athletics. A lot of the time it's a job, like I said, where you get this amount, you're expected to produce. And as much as he does expect us to produce, he just wants us to be good humans first.
For sure.
100%, which isn't that common, I don't think, in college athletics, unfortunately, but he definitely really cares about all of us.
He's really worked hard to build a program.
100% he has.
Yeah, and he really wants to bring the guys back, maybe some of us that aren't as worthy, but one of the things that gives you a lot of credibility with everybody is that you're a winner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody that wouldn't want to have your golf resume at Michigan State, right? And, you can spread some of that wealth. That's the great thing about golf, right? Is that, there were people that were before you. I don't know how much time you've ever spent talking to Ryan or Ryan Bram or James Pyatt or any of those guys that you played golf with, but they want you to succeed and you want them to succeed.
100%.
It's sort of constantly your job to pay it forward, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's those guys before that made the program what it is now. Obviously, without the success that they've had, our program wouldn't be quite as successful as we are. If you don't produce guys that play at the highest level, it's hard for you to recruit guys. And because of that, we've gotten obviously really good recruiting classes coming up, and we've had some in the past, and that's one of the main reasons why we've elevated our program through Casey. For sure.
Yeah, for sure for Casey, but for you too. I mean,
100%,
you've done a lot for the program. We're so proud of you. And, I remember watching the USAM this summer. I don't know how I turned it on. Maybe somebody texted me. But my heart went out for you. And I know, and you knew this too, how many, that eventually somebody's going to make a putt. And I was rooting for you the whole time. But you're a pleasure to watch.
Well, thank you.
You're great to have on the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you so much.